friends, welcome back to my channel, A Little Geek, A Little Chic. Today we are going to talk about the books that I would like to read in February. So grab yourself your beverage of choice and let's get into it. Welcome back. I have a stack of books for you guys that I am excited to dive into in February. Some of them are still from my January TBR that I did not make it to, but I did read quite a bit in January, so I'm very proud of myself in that regard. Having said that, I did pick quite a few books, so hopefully I can get to all of them in February and let you guys know how I felt about them. Some are backlist books, I think. Only one is a 2020 or 2020, I think 2020 release. The rest of them are all backlist books. I'm trying to get through a number of books that I already have on my shelf this year, and so this is the start of that. In addition, at the end of the video, for my last pick, I have decided that each month I will allow my husband to choose one book from my shelves and the area around my shelves that he would like me to read. He does not read, so not very many of them he will have read, so he's probably just going to go in blind and pick whatever he feels drawn towards that he thinks is going to be a good book. So that could be interesting for all of us, because who knows what he's going to pick. So stay tuned closer to the end of my list for that clip of him choosing and what he has picked for me to add to this month's TBR. So to start, full disclosure, this cup is empty. I'm filming my TBR for February, and directly after this, I'm going to, around my city, probably Canadian Tire or somewhere else, and buying a new coffee machine since a chunk broke off of our Keurig this morning when my husband was making us a coffee. So we need a new one. I'm going to go find one, and I really need some more coffee in my life soon, so let's get through this TBR. So to start, I'm going to tell you about the one book that I'm going to read that is a digital edition, because I'm also trying to get through some of my digital books this year. And that one is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So I have read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Sixth. And I did try to pick up the Twice, where is it? Right here. Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I didn't finish it, but I did enjoy it until I put it down, and I honestly forgot about it. I think I lent it actually to somebody during my mid-read of the book, because I was reading a couple others at the same time, and I just haven't picked it back up yet. So I'm about 2/3 of the way done that book, and I should probably finish it one of these days, or actually start over so I have a fresh go with that book. But this month I'm going to pick, because it's February, so I want to do some romancy kind of books in there. Just, you know, I'm doing a mix of genres this month, not just strictly fantasy like I did last month. And I've chosen that one. It's about the main character, Emma, who is married to her high school sweetheart, and everything is just what the two of them want. They've moved away from their hometown, and they are together and going to go on adventures and have the perfect life with each other until he is in a helicopter incident and goes missing. And after years of searching, and she has moved back to her hometown to try to figure out where she wants to go from here, and deal with the loss of her love. And years and years into the future, she meets, I think the other character's name is Sam, and falls in love again. And it's kind of like you can have a second chance at love. And she thinks that everything's going great, and they get engaged. And then the notice comes that Jesse, her husband, has been located. And he has been trying to get in contact with her for years. So that is intriguing. And I'm going to read that one this month off of my Kobo library to get some of my digital books read, as well as my physical books. So I don't tend to gravitate towards my digital copies enough. So I'm going to at least choose one digital or two digital books every month to read, to get through some of that. And that is the one I've chosen for this month. Next on the list, we'll stick with the romancy kind of theme, our book club has chosen to read Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This follows the son of the female president of the United States and the son of the royal monarchy, who is kind of like Prince Harry-esque, I've been told. And they are to be friends to the public eye, even though they don't like each other very much. And it's kind of like a hate to love romance between these two gentlemen, I guess. And they end up falling in love with each other. And I've heard nothing but amazing things. I wanted to read it last year, but I didn't get to it. And it just sounds just like a fantastic February read, and I am all here for it. So, male romance, U.S. political son and royal monarchy son fall in love. Calamity ensues. Sounds great. Can't wait. I'm going to read it. It's just giving me all the good February Valentine's Day kind of vibes. And very excited to read that one. Next up on my list is one that's from my TBR from January that I did not get to, and that is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I started this one in like December or November, but I was getting into a reading slump from some other books I was reading, and I didn't want it to affect my enjoyment of this book because I've heard nothing but good things, and the part that I did read, I was starting to really, really like. So I'm going to pick this one up in February. I just love this purple cover, you guys. It's like my favorite thing in the whole world. And it's kind of like metallic. It's great. So I'm going to pick this one up in February for sure. Now that I've gotten in January, you'll see in my January wrap up all of the fantasy that I started reading to get myself built up to getting more into fantasy. And this is going to be the first adult fantasy, I think, that I am picking up and hopefully going to love. The other book that was on my TBR for January, Saga Volume 2. So I didn't get to this graphic novel. I kind of throw a graphic novel in there here and there just as filler because they're small. They don't take long to get through. The art's fantastic. And I did tell you guys all about this one in the January TBR. It's basically like a Romeo Juliet on the run. Two people from rival clans fall in love, and one of them is a captor or a prisoner of war, and the other one falls in love with and saves him. And now they're both on the run from their own countries, colonies, as well as each other's, and they have a child. In the first book, it's not a spoiler, so that also just adds a little bit of fuel to the fire. And I believe it's narrated through the voice of the child, which is interesting. And the artwork is fantastic. The story is amazing. Very sci-fi, fantasy-esque. Definitely a good one to get into. It's a little shiny because I had to have the protective cover on it. And yeah, I'm excited to get into this one and see how much I like it. The next one that is on my list is one from my shelves. I think I've talked about it before, but if it was on my last book haul, I didn't read it, or on my last TBR, I didn't read it, but I don't know if I did put it on that one. I know it was up there as one I wanted to read, and that is Nevermoor by Jessica Townsend. And this follows Morgan Crow and the story of she was born on the unluckiest day of the year. There's trials, and it's magical, it's mystical, it's fun, it's a middle grade, so it should be easy enough to read. Just didn't have time to get to it with all the chunkers that I picked for January. So this one is on my list for February. Lighthearted, feel good, still fantastical, magical fantasy kind of feeling. And I like those Harry Potter vibes in the winter. Sometimes I actually do a reread, which I might end up doing, picking up the first book in the Harry Potter book series this month, maybe next month. I always like to reread it, and I do have the illustrated editions that I do want to get through. So I'm going to hopefully pick up one of those this month as well, but I'm not going to set it on my TBR because I don't honestly know if I'm going to get to it. There's a lot. I've picked a lot of books. So this one's a bigger one, but hopefully it'll be a quick read, and I've heard nothing but great things about it. The community loves this book. So I'm all here to read some fantastical middle grade. Then I have a backlist book from my shelf, and that is The Enchanted. I have never read this. It is a modern, some people call it a modern classic. It is definitely a renowned fiction literature book. It's not very big, but I believe this lady, she goes into death row and into jails, and she has an act for saving people off of death row and getting them released, and so that they don't have to perish for crimes they didn't commit. But I believe she encounters an individual who doesn't want to be saved. And then she starts to learn his backstory and things about him and his childhood and stuff that's not so far from her own, is what I got from this. So very intrigued to see what this book is about. It does, like I said, has a lot of acclaim. People love this work. The cover is fantastic. I did get it at like a used book sale, and I saw it and I knew it right away because I'd heard so much about it before. Not necessarily on BookTube, but from reviews, and people really like this book, and it was like $2, so I picked it up. And I'm just trying to like go through my shelf a little more and pick out books that I would not normally pick out and read them. So this guy is on my list for February, and I hope I enjoy it. I will let you know. The last book on my list for February, I borrowed from my father. I bought it from him, bought it for him for Christmas, and borrowed it from him to read in February, because everyone who knows me knows I love hockey. And so this is Brian Burkes' story, and his like memoirs, basically kind of his Brian Burkes' law of hockey, and a little bit about the man who is known as the hard ass of hockey. Sorry about the cursing, but you know, that is what he's known as. He is abrupt, abrasive, tells you what he thinks, knowledgeable in the sport, yes, and I'm just intrigued to read this and get a little bit more of his backstory. I also know he is an avenger for gay rights in sports. His son, I believe, is homosexual, and he played sports and the kind of backlash that he would get. So he has become an advocate for inclusivity for people of the LGBTQ community in regards to sports. So when I learned that, I gained a whole new respect for this gentleman. And now I just need to learn a little bit more about him and his life in hockey and who he really is. Because what you see on the press conferences is not always the real person. It's only a part of the person. I always keep that in mind when I read people's memoirs. When you see people on TV, you're not seeing, even if they are a public figure, political, medical, sports, that's not the whole them. So I'm hoping to get a little more backstory in here, and just, maybe get a little bit more interested for the man who is a hockey icon. Now on to Jeff's pick. So I'm going to insert a clip now of him selecting the book he is choosing for me to read in February. Here's my current bookshelf situation. We have all of these books here, and I've selected my books that I want to read for February, but I've decided that I am going to allow my husband every month to choose one book. There's my mass market paperbacks over there. And that's just a really cool tub tray that I love for reading when I'm having a bubble bath. But anyway, he can choose from the mass market paperback stack, the brand new ones that are on the floor that I have not put away yet. If he chooses one that's a second in a series or a third in a series, I'll read the one that I haven't read yet in the series. And yeah, so I said he can pick any one he wants. So let's let him come on in and do that. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. You can pick from any of the books on the floor, any of the ones on the shelf. There's these mass market paperbacks over here. And just don't mind my book sleeves and my recipes from Chef's Plate over there. And then, yeah, so go ahead. You get to pick one book every month, and I have to read it.
Well, I know what I'm going to pick first.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh. Were you eyeballing that the whole time?
Well, I've read it.
Yeah.
well, the only one on here I've read, so.
So, give some backstory. How long have you been trying to get me to read or watch this movie with you?
When did the movie come out? Like 10 years ago? 8 years ago? So probably since then.
Okay. Honestly, you guys, I've tried to read this book a few times, and I just can't get into this graphic novel. Maybe now, it's been years since I picked it up, so maybe I will be able to handle this one now.
It's really good.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for your help. Thanks for your
review the footage.
Thanks for the pick. There you have it. In February, I will be reading The Watchmen. It's a gigantic graphic novel. Interesting pictures. I've never really been interested in this series. This is a very large book. It is winner of a Hugo Award, and apparently the movie is fantastic. I did dress up as Silk Spectre one year for Halloween, and I like that costume very much. I still own it, but I have never really watched the movie and or been interested in reading the graphic novel. So hopefully I can get through this in February for him, because he has been asking me to read and or watch this movie with him for years. So I'm gonna give it a try. Fingers crossed I like it, but I will let you guys know. And then next month he will pick something else from my bookshelf. Who knows what it's gonna be? I'm nervous about adding this to my TBR and his picks in the future, especially since in the future there's really nothing on these shelves that he's read. So it could be a giant book when I already have a giant pile, or like I have no prompting, will let him choose whatever he likes. So that is the last book on my TBR for February. So that is all the books that are on my list to read for February. Comment down below, let me know what you're reading in February. And if you are reading any rom-com-y type books, definitely let me know what the titles of those are, because if I finish all of these books, I will be looking to pick up some of those for sure this month. So, as always, like and subscribe down below to see more videos from me. You can hit that little bell icon. And I always appreciate all of your likes, subscribes, and comments. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon.